Do you want to know all the things that are just kind of tough to find on the internet about living here in Durango, Colorado? All the things that I wish I would have known.
I wish I knew
Before I moved here? Well, stick around because we're getting after it right now. What's up, guys? This is Jon Burden over at Woosa Properties here in Durango, Colorado. If this is your first time to this channel, you want to know everything about what it's like to work, live, sleep, eat, play here in Durango. Make sure to click that subscribe button, tap that notification bell so you're notified every time we release a new video. Guys, we're getting calls, texts, emails from people wanting to move here to Durango every single day, and we absolutely love it. If you're even thinking about moving to Durango, make sure to give us a call, text, email, days, nights, weekends. We've got your back when it comes to moving to Durango. All right, guys, the first thing you want to know about living in Durango is that you can access just about everything on a bike. I mean, that is so sweet, right? Even if you don't live right downtown and you live somewhere in town, what's really cool is the Animus River Trail goes through town, goes relatively up north past the last stoplight up to Oxbow. And that's a great spot where you can put in boats, put in paddleboards, really still. You can just play around, swim, bring the kids out there, and it's just a spot in the river. My point is that the Animas River Trail goes along some really cool spots. It goes along downtown, so you can just hop off the trail, go grab some food, hop back on the trail, keep going, hop in the water, jump back on your bike, keep going, and then you can connect to home if you're living somewhere in town. And so that's something that's super cool about that. You don't only just have that Animas River Trail that goes all the way through town. You've got a ton of mountain biking. So we've got connectors that connect to other areas, but then we've got little bike parks, if you will. We've got Hogsback, which is right behind me. That's like and I mentioned this before in other videos, but that's a double black diamond. But then right below that, there's a bunch of blues and just really fun, hilly stuff. I love that spot because it's the Ned Overend Bike Park is the other name for it. And it's an area where you do some climbing, do 10, 20 minutes of climbing. You're kind of right in the trees. You're doing short, short turns, quick turns and that kind of stuff. And then you just really get rewarded with some awesome downhill over there. Then across from me, you've got the Spurline trail system that's going around. You've got some trails that are going around Fort Lewis College. You've got Horse Gulch. Horse Gulch is one of my favorites. You've got this area where, and first I'll mention, you can actually get there from a neighborhood called Edgemont Ranch, Edgemont Meadows. It's about a 1 mile drive to a different access point to Horse Gulch from that neighborhood. So if you're considering that neighborhood or neighborhoods in that area, you can access it from there. It's not right in your backyard, but it's about a mile drive and then a bike ride, or just right on the road for about half a mile to a mile to hook into this downhill dirt road. And Horse Gulch is super cool because it's got a little bit of everything. It's got this trail called Mike's and Stacy's, which is just this climbing like this. And then you're again rewarded with some really sweet downhill. It's not downhill that you really need to be an expert rider in. I mean, you need to have done a little bit of mountain biking to where you're not super nervous, but it's a lot of fun. And then there's another trail called Cuchillo. I personally love that one. I think it's this nice mix of technical riding, it's flowy, a lot of rocks, but it's not like you've got to be a technical expert and be able to hop rocks. I'm not a super good mountain biker, and I just have a lot of blast doing it. Something where you can just kind of work on your skills and you're not too sketched out by falling over a cliff or anything crazy like that. All that to say that from town, there's so much mountain biking and trails, and just you can, again, access everything from a bike. Okay, the next one is kind of a little bit of a spin-off on what I just went over, on kind of access with a bike. Most neighborhoods, or a decent amount of neighborhoods, are within access to mountain biking. So a few examples are Three Springs. They've got a great trail system behind Three Springs. I mentioned this in other videos, but that trail system is great for kids. I have a buddy that lives out that way. He brings his kids out there, and they can bike around, feel safe. There's not any crazy drop-offs or really steep climbs out there. Now, on that note, there are some steep climbs for adults, right? So there's a little section, I think it's a 1.8 mile loop that's great for kids, or great for if you just want to chill, take it easy that day. But then if you go the other direction, there is some great climbing, some great downhill stuff for adults. A lot of those are rated blue, so they're kind of in that moderate zone as well. Another one is Twin Buttes. They've got the big Twin Buttes trail system. I think it's about 13 miles of trails back there. Kids can do that too. There's a little bit trickier, a little more technical stuff in there, but there are some trails as well that are great for kids. There's one that kind of goes along it's not right on the highway, but kind of parallels the highway. I think that's about 1.8 miles. And so that area, I love that area for, again, just having that access to biking. You've got quite a bit of access to biking where you're not just doing the same loop every time. All right, one thing I didn't mention is road biking. Road biking is, of course, really popular here as well. A great road, and if you live, again, I keep referencing north of Durango, about 15 minutes in the Animus Valley. If you end up buying a house out there, or even if you don't, you can drive up that way, or even just hop on the Animus River Trail, take that up to Oxbow, and then hook right over to County Road 203. You bike 203. 203 is almost pancake flat in comparison to most of Durango. Or you can go kind of off of Florida, and then you can hook onto 250, County Road 250. It's known as the Gold Coast Highway, and it's stunning, right? There's tons of gorgeous properties right along there, and you're just getting this gorgeous ridge view. You're in the valley again, so you got ridges on both sides of you, and the biking there is awesome. Really popular spot to bike because you can go from there to Baker's Bridge, which is a bridge that crosses over the river. It's popular, known as a place where a lot of people love to just jump in the water. The river is real slow right there, so people will jump off, jump in the water, cool down, and then that area, kind of that corridor, once you get closer to Baker's Bridge, gets all forested. So it's really cool because you're going from this open kind of green pastures, homes with these nice grass, nice ponds, flowing water, to getting into this kind of forested neighborhood, if you will, along that same road. And then it's spitting you out up onto Highway 550. And so if you want to do some real climbing, you spit out onto Highway 550 and you can go up towards Purgatory. And there's some real climbing there as well. All right, the next thing you need to know about living in Durango is we've got Lake Nighthorse. If you haven't heard about Lake Nighthorse, it is awesome. We'll show you some videos of Lake Nighthorse. I absolutely love it. My dad and I go out there quite a bit and go for a swim. They've got an area that's got buoys, so you can follow the buoys, where there's a no wake zone. I believe it's no wakes. Gosh, I'm trying to remember. I'll throw it on the screen, but no wakes allowed from I believe 7 a.m., which is opening time, till 10 a.m. And I think that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but I'll double check on that. Feel free to shoot me a message if you're curious about that as well. Lake Nighthorse is so cool because they created this nice sandy beach area as well. They've got lifeguards on duty. It's not just one of these lakes where, kind of swim at your own risk and that's it. Then you're allowed boating. You're allowed, like I kind of mentioned, wakes. You're at it after a certain time, certain season. So there's paddleboarding, there's kayaking, there's rentals for both of those as well. Then they've got this inflatable playground type area for kids and adults. That's a ton of fun. We've got a bunch of friends that always love to go out there and hang out. So the other thing that I think is super cool about this location is you're within an hour of some really cool ancient ruins. So you've got Mesa Verde and Chaco Canyon. Those places are super cool. Something that you might not know that I think is really cool too, that I want to take my family out to see, is Chaco Canyon is known as a dark sky observatory. So there's no light pollution, right? It's not really close to any city, not a ton of light. And so I was driving back home from California a little while back, a year ago or so, looked up and the sky is just gorgeous. Obviously with no moon, the stars are just incredible out there. All right, the next thing that is really worth knowing that you're probably looking into, I double checked on niche.com. The schools here are pretty highly rated. A lot of our friends and family really like the school system here. Obviously do your own research. Forgive me, I'm gonna look down just to read some of these off. Mountain Middle School was rated as an A. Animus High was rated as an A-. Park Elementary was rated as a B+. Miller Middle School was rated as a B. And then their student to teacher ratio was 15:1. Riverview Elementary was rated as a B. Again, student ratio, teacher ratio is 15:1. And let's see, Durango High was rated as an A-. Student teacher ratio was a 16:1. This is when I looked it up a couple weeks ago. This was mid-July 2022, so keep in mind, of course, these numbers can change. I did find this on niche.com. Also, they are building a new school, and so that's something to keep a lookout for as well. Oh, then I forgot to mention, we do have a private school at St. Columba. That's a K-8 school. Then we have Children's House of Durango. That's kindergarten and preschool. All right, the next thing is Fort Lewis College. Now, you might not be watching this video considering going to Fort Lewis, but even if you have some free time, they have some really cool classes. So I personally want to jump into their outdoor program. They have a really cool outdoor program. I was looking into it. They even do like I want to say it's a 10-day backpacking type trip where they're teaching you all kinds of different outdoor skills. That would be super fun. There's not many schools that offer a class that's specific to outdoor leadership type, helps you become ready to be a guide or be anything in the outdoor space. So I thought that was super cool. Of course, the other thing that's worth mentioning is where I'm located right now. The college is, half mile down the road from me right here. And it's got views like this, guys. I mean, the views from the campus are incredible. They've got a dirt track. Odd fact for you, I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but it's in yards, so it's 400 yards. So if you go and run it and you're like, this looks weird on my GPS, I believe it's 400 yards, not meters, but really cool. It's still dirt in my opinion. And then they've got some awesome soccer games. Make sure to check out the soccer games, support them, ton of energy. Basketball, all the sports they have are totally worth checking out and supporting them. And then they've got Hillcrest golf course that's right below the campus. So again, that adds to your scenery, but awesome place to golf too while we're on that subject. All right, the next thing you gotta know about living in Durango is the hot springs. So we've got Trimble Hot Springs that is about 10 minutes north of downtown Durango as you're going on Highway 550. Once you hit the stoplight where Trimble Crossing is, you'll see the hardware store, the grocery store at that light. Also right where the turn is for Dalton Ranch. You'll turn left there and boom, you're right there. Just pull in, park, go in, and they just renovated the hot springs. It is stunning. I absolutely love the hot springs there. They even added a cold plunge. You might laugh at me, but I was asking them over and over, when are you guys gonna have the cold plunge ready? Like, the cold plunge is so nice. And what's cool about it is it's kind of half and half. So the cold plunge is kind of splitting a tub, obviously there's a wall there, with one of the hottest tubs. So you can go from cold plunge, I don't know what the exact temperature is, low 50s or something, over to the 108 or 109. And so it's a lot of fun. The views are gorgeous from the hot springs too. You're looking out at these gorgeous cliffs of Missionary Ridge that's on the east side of the highway. And they have a season pass, they have day passes, and then they have some great changing rooms that they added in outside. And they have a ton of pools, right? They added in a lot of pools. They also do events there. They also have a food truck, super good. We went there the other day, really good food. They've got this little waterfall type thing you can stick your feet in, a little hotter, but it's kind of right by the food truck. I thought that was really cool too. All right, one thing I forgot to mention is you are going back to the mountain biking subject that we were talking about. You're about an hour away from Phil's World. Now, if you're into mountain biking at all, even if you're not, go ahead and Google Phil's World or look it up on MTB Project. That's the REI app. That's totally worth downloading once you get here or before you get here. That way you can do a little research. But Phil's World is epic. We try to make a trip up there every now and then. It's, again, about an hour away from us. A little bit of a drive, but completely worth it. Really cool scenery, really cool views, but just rolling hills. There's kind of a little bit of everything. There's this area, I'm gonna butcher how the best way to describe it, but it just kind of does like these little whoop-de-whoops, if you will. Just up, down, up, down. Like for younger kids, might be a little too much, but really, really fun. Phil's World, again, really popular. I think it's ranked as one of the top mountain biking spots in the state. The next thing that I touched on a little bit is the rafting and kayaking in Durango. So we have a bunch of pro kayakers that live here. If that doesn't tell you anything about how awesome the kayaking is, I don't know, but it's awesome. So the next thing is the paddleboarding, right? Actually, I'm gonna go back to the kayaking. We have something called River Days. I'll throw in a few clips right now, but River Days is so cool. So you'll see pro kayakers out there competing. It is incredible. Like, I personally haven't seen anything like that in person. I know it exists in other towns, but it's really cool. They'll do a bunch of different kind of competitions. You'll see them flipping over in the middle of the rapids. And then in River Days, it's really fun. You'll see a lot of people just kayaking or boating down the river with like costumes on and all kinds of fun stuff. So that's a really fun thing to go out to too. What we'll do, I'll give you a little tip here, is we'll actually cross the river over by the DoubleTree, go across into the dog park, and then hike up the kind of up the trail on the dog park towards the top edge of it where you're looking over, and then you get a really cool view. Up there's also some spots, some little trails that you can go down to the river from that kind of high point. So that's a great spot to watch if you want a little higher point. The other thing is the paddleboarding, right? So I know I've talked about this in other videos, but the paddleboarding here is something you've got to know about. So a great way to do it is you can drop in. Now a lot of these shops will sell maps where it shows the points where you can drop in or put in at. And then you can take your paddleboard down. Obviously have a dry bag. I always recommend have a dry bag with you. Have your cell phone in there, that kind of stuff. I flip every now and then, or I flip because I just want, or jump off the board just to cool off, right? And try to have a leash on you, right? That's always helpful too. And it'll show you if you go from here to here, it's an hour and a half roughly. Another idea is you go up north near like Dalton Ranch. There's a put in up there, and then you come all the way down to town. Like that's, I don't know how far, I want to say it's 5-6 hours. It's definitely a longer one. Some paddleboards have seats on them, so you can put a seat on it, paddleboard down that way. So that way you're a little more comfortable, or kayak down. A lot of people will just go tubing, you know, just come in town or go to Oxbow and just mess around. Don't really travel any, just mess around and tube and get out a couple hours later. So that's something else that's, you know, you don't need to spend $200 on a paddleboard. They also do paddleboard rentals. Rentals is the way to go if you're just trying to decide if you want to figure it out, if you want to do this or not, if this is something you're into. And I'll just go back and say they also have paddleboard rentals at Lake Nighthorse. So that's something worth doing. Lake Nighthorse as well as Twilight Lake. To my recollection, those are the only two places they rent them out, but then they also rent them out at the shops. Mild to Wild is an awesome place to check out. They do rentals, they do guided trips and that kind of stuff too. And if you guys are even thinking about moving to Durango, Colorado, make sure to give us a call, text, email. We've got your back when it comes to moving here to Durango. Thank you so much for watching.